Hey.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome to a very special episode of Roses and Reactions.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I still don't know what the holiday's about, but leprechauns.
Leprechauns. We got our gear. We don't have our Guinness because I don't like Guinness. It's too dark.
I don't know
me.
what Guinness is.
It's dark beer. You probably would like it. But so tonight we are doing something very special. We're not going to be on Saturday because Rachel has an exam. And
last time my teacher had the exam right on Valentine's Day, and now it's the day after St. Patrick's Day. So I'm sensing a pattern emerging in terms of holidays for him.
But we plan to do this show anyway. So go ahead and tell us what our show is tonight.
We are doing Leprechaun, my favorite guilty pleasure franchise, because it's not good, like on a technical level in the slightest, but it makes me so happy. And I made her watch all 7 films. I think it's 7.
Oh,
no, it's not. It's more than that.
It's 8.
It's 8. Cause I'm thinking about the one that shall not be named, but we will name it briefly for posterization. But this is actually something I was really excited for because she made me watch, not too long ago, she made me watch the entirety of the Twilight Saga. And even though it was better than I was expecting, it was still an awful experience for me as someone she knows who is not a big fan of the franchise.
And I made you watch Riverdale.
Mm-hmm. So I thought, what's something that I like that isn't typically popular, people like? In the general landscape, and I'm like, oh, it's St. Patrick's Day coming up. I know I can make her watch all of these B-movie horror films, basically. And
which I had never seen before, believe it or not.
She has never seen before, and when she said that, I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely doing it. And honestly, I'm just immediately, we can't go 2 seconds.
Yes, we're going to talk about Jennifer in just a second.
She's like, I think she's the most popular thing when it comes to these films. People remember, oh, Jennifer Aniston was in the first one. And that's basically where people's knowledge, if you're not a big horror buff like me, typically falls off.
I think that Leprechaun probably got a lot of its viewing because people were so much fans of Friends that they wanted to see her prior work, which I don't think she was too pleased about. But, it's there, and it's not going to be going away anytime soon. So Leprechaun was a movie that was, it came out in January 8th of 1993, written and directed by Mark Jones. And Trimark Pictures released it, and it came out in theaters, actually. And yes, Jennifer Aniston and Warwick Davis were the stars of the film. Warwick Davis, you probably know as Wicket the Ewok in Return of the Jedi, or
as a leprechaun,
or the star of Willow, the Willow film from Ron Howard, which I don't think
I've not seen either of those. Well, I have seen
Return of the Jedi.
I didn't know it was him though.
Yeah,
you can't count that stuff when they're all in make. It's like the girl, like Amy Pond from Doctor Who. But like I said, if you know me, I'm awful at names. I go by characters. She plays Nebula on Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, that doesn't count. Because you can't recognize her from that. Still, I digress. St. Patrick's Day, Leprechaun.
So the movie, it was a $1 million budget for that, and that's not a lot of money even for 1993. But it made 8.6 million at the box office, which made everybody say, Then they started to take a look at this little guy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a really interesting story that Warwick Davis talks about becoming the Leprechaun, and basically the movie is about this leprechaun that comes on that breaks out of a spell and then wreaks havoc on this
a
well spell. But he wasn't in a well in this. He was actually trapped. Remember, he was trapped with a 4-leaf lucky clover in a box.
How the heck do you know more than me? I showed you these movies for the first time. They all bleed together for me, and now you're correcting me.
So yes.
Well, okay.
So
wait till we get to 2 and 3. Oh
my
god.
This leprechaun was in a box with a 4-leaf clover keeping him away, and in this farmhouse in Nebraska of all places. And Jennifer Aniston and her dad move in, and then down in the basement, the clover comes blown off the box.
I love how you don't remember the character's name. It's just Jennifer Aniston. Yeah, if the character doesn't have a name, I think she does, but it's Jennifer Aniston.
Actually, the character's name is Tori. Okay, and Tori and her dad are redoing the house.
Look that up.
And they have and they have 2 friends named Alex and Ozzy who are helping them rebuild the farmhouse. So it's basically those are your 4 main characters. Is this good-looking guy, the contractor hunk, Tori, which is Jennifer Aniston, Alex, a little kid, and Ozzy, their friend.
Another little kid.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and play the clip with Warwick Davis, because I found this very interesting about the origin of Leprechaun
Don't.
The real origin of Leprechaun. Okay.
Who wrote the screenplay for the original Leprechaun? He used to he wrote screenplays for the A-Team and those sort of action TV series back in the sort of mid to late 80s, and he came up with the idea for Leprechaun. And originally wasn't going to send it to me because he'd seen Willow and thought I was a nice guy. And eventually he decided, yes, I'm going to send it to him anyway. Immediately I saw it, I thought, what a great opportunity this is to show that, I'm not just an actor who can play nice guys, I can play kind of a diverse range of characters. So the Leprechaun did appeal to me. But Leprechaun originally was meant as a kid's scary film. So it was kind of shot with that in mind. It was never shot as an R-rated movie. So it was very comic book-like, very colourful, but slightly twisted and distorted and scary. But then when the studio got hold of the movie, they liked it, but they thought it was going to work better as an R-rated movie. And we then spent 2 weeks filming gory inserts. So if you remember the film, the scene where the cop pulls me over and then I chase him into the woods and do away with him, that was a kind of a whole added section. The guy with the pogo stick, his demise was kind of enhanced and beefed up, and lots of gory close-ups and stuff. So there were lots of additional little bits like that throughout the film to bring it up to a kind of near an R-rated kind of level.
I want the kids' cut of that film. I'm not gonna lie. I want the child's cut because I want to see, because some of that stuff, I can see it in some ways and some in another ways. Did they add the scene in where Leprechaun was sexually assaulting Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah,
was that added in, or was that, I need to know if that was in the original cut or not for the movie. Considering it was 1993, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was.
So here's one of the photos. There's young Jennifer Aniston there, and that gentleman's name is Ken Oldlant, and he actually was on an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation at one point, and he was also in April Fool's Day, I think. He was an actor of the 80s. I haven't seen him around much lately, but he's a good-looking guy. He did a pretty good job.
You know what I find the best part about this film, though?
What?
Well, at least to me, I don't know about you, but Jennifer Aniston isn't even the best part of the movie for me. Don't get me wrong, this movie is not good. Okay, this movie, if you want to rate it really, if you want me to give it a critical score, 3, 4 out of 10, but on a Rachel enjoyment level scale, this is a 7 or 8. And part of that is not just, oh my God, people are dying, like it is in some of these other movies that I really enjoy in this franchise. But I like the dynamic between the two little kids. I don't know. Maybe I have I don't know. I just found it really wholesome between Ozzy.
Really,
What
actually,
was
Ozzy and Alex.
Ozzy and Alex?
It was really sweet. It was a really sweet film. I can see where the kids horror part of it comes in, because all four main characters live, and her dad only gets sent to the hospital. He does not die. So he gets I think he gets bit by the leprechaun early on in the film, and they have to send him to the hospital, and you don't see him anymore. Mm-hmm. But it was nice to see. It's nice to see in a horror film 4 main leads survive, because you usually only get 1 or 2, and mostly just 1, the final girl. But all 4 survive. The leprechaun gets his demise. And
can I say it just once? Can I say it? I know you don't like the
word. Don't say the word.
Please,
don't say it.
Okay, fine. I'll do what I did for the banner then. You get the Duck You Lucky Charms from Alex.
Alex shoots a 4-leaf clover into his mouth, and that's how he could be destroyed, only by a 4-leaf clover in this film.
Adore. That's when my enjoyment level rose from a 6 to an 8, because I love goofy shit like that. So that's the first film. Which I liked. Yes. What would you give it as a rating out of 10? I'm not talking about as an actual movie, in terms of enjoyment, because you can't rate these movies in terms of
for filmmaking, I would give it about a 4. For enjoyment, I give it maybe a 6. I liked it better than most of the other films.
Yeah.
It had, it actually had some levels of actual filmmaking, and they actually tried, which later on down the line.
I love that they actually tried.
Not so much,
because they realized. But this is we're gonna go through it, because we got to bring up what are the rules of the leprechaun in this movie, because it
changes all the time.
Yeah, it changes. But what are the rules in this movie? We're gonna go over them each movie. How does the leprechaun work in this movie?
This leprechaun, he doesn't have a lot of magic powers. He only has invisibility.
He has invisibility? I haven't seen this since when? What scene is that?
I'm pretty sure he has invisibility.
I don't remember that at all.
But and the only way he gets destroyed is by a 4-leaf clover.
I just remember his shoe fetish.
Oh, he did have a shoe fetish. That was also very interesting. In his past life, he was like a shoemaker or something like that. So he loves people's shoes and likes the shine shoes.
I just love the idea of the horror villain being thwarted and having to clean shoes. They can just easily throw some shoes in the road, and they can get rid of the leprechaun.
You actually had some things that you wanted to show.
Oh yes, our gold. So after every movie, I thought it'd be cute. Well, it's supposed to be before the movie, and it's the wrong movie. So actually, no, this leads in. Good. So what we're doing, it's Leprechaun 2. I did my best to get these in order, but I failed. So
that is our pot of gold with our shillings. And So the interesting thing about Terry McIver from Ireland. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, for some reason it's blocking off some of our things, but I see a pot of gold at the. As a kid, I actually did. I believe before I became a science and jaded, and I knew that it's just light. I used to try to chase the end of the rainbow, and I'm like, it just keeps going. It feels like I'm making no progress. What the heck is going on? So that's why if I seem overly excited for this show, it's just that this is a silly thing to me. I'm just having fun. I'm just here to have fun, honestly. But Leprechaun 2.
So Leprechaun 2 is a lot different from Leprechaun 1. Okay.
Very different.
It was also known as One Wedding and Lots of Funerals. Came out at the theater on April 8th, 1994, a year later after the first Leprechaun.
Wait. What is this? Okay, One Wedding and All the Funerals.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
You're surprising me. I'm showing you this, and you're the one who's keeps shocking me with all this thing. What?
Yeah, so that was it.
I love that tagline. Though, probably the best part of the movie.
So because it was a take on 4 weddings and a funeral. So One Wedding and Lots of Funerals was the name it was also known by. So it came out in the theater, and it actually had the opening scene has a cameo by actually 2 cameos by Clint Howard, who is a long-running B actor, brother of Ron Howard, and Kimmy Robertson, who played in Twin Peaks. She played at the I forget what her character's name was now, but she played at the sheriff's office. She was a receptionist there.
This is a surprising thing with these movies. Like, despite how B movie they are, you've got like a lot of famous actors in this. Like Jennifer Aniston is the most popular, but later,
but that was incidental.
That was like Jaws. I keep forgetting her name. Back to the Future girl and Jaws.
Leah Thompson.
Thompson. I can always rely on her. But and Jaws 3D.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was actually meant to be. The cameos were Clint Howard and Kimmy Robertson, and they play husband and wife in Tourist in L.A., where this film takes place. Now, the first film took place in Nebraska. Mm-hmm. This one takes place in Los Angeles, in the Hollywood area, actually, because the main character he gets people to go on these tours of dead celebrity homes, and he it's just like a money,
none of the characters in this film are likable. Like, I'm gonna be real, like they're like the first film we mentioned, the 2 kids and Jennifer, they're all like, some of them are kind of jerks, but they're all genuinely likable people, especially the 2 kids. There are no likable characters in this movie. They're just here to die.
Absolutely, that is very true.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, before you spy out another random fact, I'm just gonna say something in the movie. So the Leprechaun is back. I thought he got killed in a well, but of course this is a horror movie. You've got Chucky 2, where the blood gets back into they remake the doll. So you got to give like a little explanation at the beginning so you can continue your franchise. So what's the explanation for being back alive?
Well, it's very hard to say. This film is very different from the first one. In the first one, he's just trying to get his goal.
Don't worry, Mom. I can got you. The answer is there's no explanation. He's just back randomly. He's just back.
But this film starts out, actually, it's a little bit of an origin story for him, where he's out in the woods like 100 years before. And he's in love with this girl, and she's supposed to be his bride.
Also, I just love this. Because this, like I said, these are my schlocky movies. I laughed out loud the first time I saw this. I knew this is gonna be my franchise. When I saw the forest that they were filming in is just like, it feels like they just went to the woods in the director's backyard or something to film. And I love that. But yeah, they got this girl, and he gets a lot of wives, girlfriends, or like sex slaves so around in these movies. Anyway, but yeah, so there's this girl, and she's gonna be, I remember this part of the movie. She was gonna be his bride, but something happened. I don't remember.
Yeah, something. Yeah, the father ended up saving her.
Yeah.
So he's like, so like 100 years in the future, her ancestor is in Hollywood, California, and he's gonna make her his bride. So basically, this is him trying to court this woman throughout this film. It has so much little bit of storyline. It's
I don't
really
remember.
bad.
Like, this is why I get 2 and 3 so confused. Like, listen, this movie does not have a plot. Okay, like what we told you here is basically, we weren't even Cliff Nosing it. That's basically the movie.
That is the plot. Where
some guy.
He's trying to get. So the main guy's trying to save the girl because she gets kidnapped early on, and she's going to become the bride. And he has this, and the guy who runs the tourist guide is like his friend, and he's trying to help him in the beginning, but then he gets the old man gets greedy and he wants gold.
It's probably at least the most memorable scene in the movie.
It is the most memorable. There's 2. My favorite scene in this film is where the old guy takes the leprechaun, and they're trying to distract him from getting back to the bride, so they get him drunk at the bar. Okay, that's my favorite scene in the film. But in this film, unlike the first film, where the Lucky Clover is the way to get him his demise, you can get him trapped with wrought iron. So they trap him in a safe, and they think everything's going to be okay. But the greedy guy has a coin, so he got him trapped, and he wants 3 wishes. And
the leprechaun can grant wishes now. By the way,
the leprechaun could grant 3 wishes to whoever captures him. So they capture him inside the safe, and this guy wishes for like all the gold. So the leprechaun grants his wish.
And then the movie turns into Wishmaster before Wishmaster.
Yeah, he grants his wish, and he gets the pot of gold inside his stomach, and he dies horribly. Okay.
There's also something about a guy.
That's
other
the
guy
best kill in the film. That's the best kill.
Yeah,
in the
most
film.
memorable part of the movie,
Yeah.
honestly. And then there's the other part. There's something about. Wasn't there something about some guy becoming like another leprechaun?
No, you're getting ahead of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we've got a clip. Entertainment Tonight actually did behind the scenes of this movie, believe it or not, early on. I kept the old videotape effect in the beginning because I liked it. So here you go. Yep, that one.
She misnumbered the
Warwick
clips.
Davis caused more than his share of havoc, but he came up with a pot of gold for producers. So, as you might suspect, here he comes again. He's mean, he's nasty, and now I'm back. If there's one thing to be learned from this budding horror series, it's that leprechauns can appear anywhere, anytime. MTV's VJ John Sensio got that message on St. Patrick's Day.
Hey, here's my dressing room where I'll go in and change. Oh, my heavens! For the love of God! It's a crazy, wacky leprechaun!
The star of Leprechaun 2 is Warwick Davis, who doesn't look nearly as imposing or evil in real life. But when he visited New York as part of a promotional tour, he had to do it in character, and that meant more than 3 hours in the makeup chair.
I couldn't. How?
Okay, lips, open up. If there's any producers or directors watching, under here, I'm a thespian, and I desperately would like a part without this makeup on. Please.
But when the makeup was applied, a strange thing happened. Davis, the actor, disappeared, and something nasty took his place.
Oh, jeez, easy, easy.
If you're wondering if you've seen Davis before, you probably have. He's appeared in many TV productions and movies, including the role of the apprentice sorcerer in Willow. In Leprechaun 2, he also uses magic, but the results are much more sinister. And what did the
No, you know
Leprechaun think of New
something? I gotta say, another thing I really like about this movie, about this franchise, is just how much fun, like, the people who return, like Warwick Davis especially, how much fun they seem to be having with it. Like, despite how stupid and technically awful the movies are, how much he just seems to be having a blast.
Yeah, he really seems to enjoy it.
Always
he stuck around for 6 films. So,
and you know something about me, I don't know if y'all know this about me, but if I feel like stuff like that really endears me to a movie. Like, even if the movie is awful, I, being the subjective person I am more inclined to give it a higher score if I feel like the people in it were just having fun or enjoying themselves. Because it makes me be like, even if this movie's awful and I can't enjoy myself, at least somebody got some entertainment out of it. So that makes me happy in some way. Unlike, I'd rather have an awful, like pure awful horror movie where everybody's having fun than a pure soulless cash grab with decent effects, which... foreshadowing.
Well, that movie did not do so well as the first one because, the production value was really low on this one, and there was hardly any script. So that was Leprechaun 2. I did not like it. It's probably one of my least favorite ones out of the bunch. Yeah, it was kind of boring, actually. So even I watched it with my son, and even he was bored. But so we're going to move on to one that I actually enjoyed a little bit better, and by that I mean a little bit better.
Well, I made these, so I'm going to use it. There is gold in here, by the way. Little gold plastic. It's now this is Leprechaun 1. Pretend like there's a 3 after that.
Leprechaun 3. Leprechaun 3 was
it's so hard
the
to get
first
these in order.
one, which was direct-to-video. On June 27th, 1995, it premiered. I don't know why they didn't try to set these up to where they premiered around.
That's so weird.
At least in February or March, because I think you'd make more money that way. The film had a $2.5 million budget. Now, what I kind of like about this franchise is that it's not always in the same place. You had Nebraska, you had the Hollywood, LA scene, and now you're in Las Vegas, baby, which has, a lot more to offer, I think, as a locale for this film.
Wait, Mike, is anybody contesting that? Warwick is the best Leprechaun. Is anybody contesting that? I don't think, in terms of actor, 100%. In terms of leprechauns in general, yeah. He's just the best Leprechaun.
Yeah, he's even better than the Lucky Charms guy, I would say. He's funny. He really brings a lot of life to this character, and you got to give him that for sure. So
These movies wouldn't be nearly as half as entertaining as they are without them.
Wait, 1 second. Because I uploaded these, I just want to show this real quick. This is back from Leprechaun 2 a few minutes ago. I want to show this picture. This is the bride, okay? Now, I don't know where she got the dress. I might have blinked, but...
Oh, yes, we gotta mention this scene real quick. It feels like a chunk of the movie is missing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
like he's
does.
going after this girl, and suddenly she's like in the cave with him.
Yeah.
Like we don't know how this happened.
And I don't know where she got the red dress, but it looks really pretty on her. You know, it's a nice dress.
Nice.
And she tries to seduce him to try to stall for time, but you know, these things don't last.
I don't
too
know why
long.
they're stalling for time of her when he's trying to get her when she's the thing they're stalling for time for. But moving on, Leprechaun 3, Las Vegas.
Yes, Las Vegas, which is kind of the fun aspect of this film. Because the Leprechaun, everything you can think about Las Vegas is in this film. The Leprechaun appears as the film starts off in a pawn shop, you know, and so you know, if you're a fan of Pawn Stars, where's that pawn shop? Las Vegas. This is, I think, way before that show was on there. But Las Vegas is known for having pawn shops because people go and pawn and they go spend the money at the casino. So the film opens up. This guy drags in this statue of a leprechaun wearing an amulet around his neck.
Oh yeah, okay. Should we just we should just bring it up now?
Okay,
because you go ahead. You watched the movies. Tell me what you've learned, young student. What are the rules of the leprechaun in this movie?
The rule of the leprechaun is this amulet is keeping him from becoming alive again. So he's got the amulet around his neck, but it's pure gold, which is always, you know, people are like gold, you know, they get really greedy. And this case is no different, where the pawn owner makes the mistake of taking off the amulet to inspect it, and guess what? Leprechaun wakes up, comes up back from the stone, and he's ready just to wreak havoc on everything. Now,
I just gotta get to the point. It's honestly ridiculous at this point how they just keep changing the rules every movie. Do you think they knew what they were doing, or do you think that this was an accident?
Oh, I think it is purely an accident. I mean, I think that they just wrote whatever they felt like writing, actually. Okay, so let's talk about our protagonist in this film, which is a boy named Scott.
He's not very likable either.
He starts off kind of likable. He's a college student, and this girl that he picks up is a magician's assistant who's working at the Lucky Shamrock Casino, which is a really cool name. I really think they did try to put some kind of effort into this film. So she's working as the assistant to the magician at the Lucky Shamrock Casino, and he can't get in because he's not 21 yet, but she sneaks him into the casino for some reason because he begs her after he drives her there. So meanwhile, the pawn shop owner, and this drags on forever and ever, pawn shop owner's like trying to get away from the leprechaun, and he starts to watch these videos about leprechauns. It's a poor CGI on an old Mac computer or something. It's one, the big white monitor, and it's explaining the rules of the leprechaun, which mean, and this time they're telling there's a couple of interesting things about the leprechaun that the video shows you while they're running around and he's trying to run away from the leprechaun. One thing is that for every shilling that you have, you can make a wish. So all the
3 wishes.
The 3 wishes thing is gone. This time, if you have as many shillings as you have, you get a wish. Okay, so this film deals a lot with wishes. And the second thing is if
and this was still before Wishmaster, wasn't? What year was this?
Yeah, this is 95.
Yeah, that's still before Wishmaster. Wishmaster was 97.
So he gets these wishes, and then the second thing is that they talk about if there's 2 leprechauns in the same area, there's a fight for territory, and that leprechauns like to eat potatoes a lot. That's their favorite meal is potatoes. So what this comes down to is this weird thing where Scott, the college student, ends up getting some blood mixed into him from the leprechaun, and he starts to show traits of the leprechaun throughout the film. He starts becoming more and more like a leprechaun. He starts eating potatoes, starts talking in limericks, and he ends up having this battle in the magician's assistant girl has to kind of save Scott from him becoming a leprechaun. So
more plot than the last
one.
It
has a lot more plot than the last one. It's got some funny side stuff with a woman who wants she wants to have a nice boob job, and she makes a wish, and that backfires on her.
Yeah, she explodes
in a horrible way. And the poor magician guy, he ends up dying. But I mean, there's a lot more characters in this, and there's a little bit more of a storyline that's actually kind of watchable.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a following. And in 2011, they actually had a screening, and I don't remember where it was at. I think it was in California. But we have a clip from the screening where they had a Q&A afterward. So I just have this real funny part that I wanted to share with you guys. There's the 2011 screening.
First, my memory is of the audition, and I said to Brian, I said, listen, these sides, I don't think I can make these funny. Can I make up stuff? He said, all right. So I made up stuff, and he says, all right, you've got the part, but you have to make up all of your lines.
Better than what we'd written.
And it's the most relaxing gig I've ever had in my life, because I could just make up what I had to say. And thank you so much for it.
So you see, nobody really took this movie seriously, and they had a lot of fun doing it, I guess, And so that was Leprechaun 3, and we have a photo of that one right there. There he is.
I don't understand why this is the picture you picked, but okay, Leprechaun.
Look, he's holding.
I don't
chips.
see anything. I see
He's holding chips.
Why are they so small? I've never played poker. Are they that small?
Yeah, they can be that small. They're not huge. They're about the size of your little shillings there. So that was 3, and then we move on to Horribleness, probably what's considered one of the worst films in the franchise. And you know what? I really wanted to love this film. I really did.
Yeah, because this is the first thing that she saw of it when getting preliminary pics, and she's like, "Oh, this is gonna be great."
Yeah, but
Leprechaun with a lightsaber, but the movie is like it's not even fun good.
So it's
fun.
Leprechaun 4 is Leprechaun is known as Leprechaun in Space.
Okay, listen, and when you hear the title, you're thinking. I think that might also be something that's well known throughout this franchise, almost as much as Jennifer Aniston, that there's a movie called Leprechaun in Space.
Yes.
But the movie ain't good. At all. I don't like it. I don't like it.
So
I skip it.
I sort of think that Leprechaun in Space was a script that they found somewhere
for another movie
that they added a leprechaun into because they never
nothing.
even call him the leprechaun in this. They call him the alien, okay? And basically it's a ripoff of Aliens. And something else. Okay. So this one is not so much about the gold this time.
Is there even any gold in this movie?
They bring back him wanting this woman to be his bride.
A different woman.
Yeah, different woman. This is Princess Serena. And
she's awful.
And she's a terrible human being or whatever, or alien being.
Once again, none of the characters in this movie are
But Leprechaun wants to become king, so he wants to marry her. And they are trying to get married, and they're plotting to kill each other after the wedding because she wants his gold. Basically, he's like, "I'll give you all this gold if you become my bride." She wants the gold. She doesn't want him, and he really wants the power of being king of this universe, part of this universe, and doesn't want her around. So they're plotting to kill each other, but their plots get foiled when these what do you call them? Like Space Marines show up. And they show up for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think it's explained.
And there's this cyborg doctor who ends up using the princess's blood to become a spider creature called Mitten Spider. So it's a very bizarre film, kind of gross.
Honestly, I don't know. This has all the makings of the other ones, that are just pure fun that I can just laugh and enjoy and have a lot. But I don't know. This one just. It irritates me. I don't know. What do you think it is? You watched the movie. What do you think it is that's different about this one?
I think it seems like rushed.
Like they're trying too hard also?
No.
Well, to me it does.
It just doesn't seem right.
It doesn't feel like Leprechaun.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
It feels like they found another B movie horror movie, and then they just slapped Leprechaun on
I
it.
think they were just trying to take advantage of the whole science fiction, because science fiction was really big at the time. I mean, it's 1997. We've got the whole Star Trek franchise just blowing up, and a lot of stuff going on. So I think that they wanted to take advantage of that and do an in-space film, which was direct to video. But he ends up getting shot out of an airlock at the end there.
Enjoy the black, just the pure black background. No
Battlestar
background.
Galactica there.
No background in that. It's just black.
So
that was great.
Yeah. Okay.
So these movies, at least to me, you like 3 more than 2.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed 3 more than 2.
But to me, they've been going downhill since the first one. And then the surprises, everybody brings up Leprechaun in space, okay? That's the big one that people bring up. But it overshadows the second best title ever to exist in a horror movie. Mom, what is the name of the next film?
The next one is Leprechaun in the Hood.
Not The Hood. The Hood. THA. So, surprise, I actually kind of, not even low-key, but, like this movie, as a movie. And I'll get into a little bit more about that later, but for a movie called Leprechaun in the Hood, this movie is probably one of the best in the franchise.
This movie actually has some production value and some big names that would be
in Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yes, it actually stars Ice-T, and he plays Baghdadi Onassis. And the movie starts out in the 1970s, where he ends up stealing this golden flute from the Leprechaun, and the medallion is back from the third film.
So back to that.
He turns him into stone, takes him to his office with the hood. It takes him back to his office and the gold, and he becomes like this big rap artist representative. Okay. Now there's three young guys that are trying to start this rap band, okay?
And I'm just gonna say this flat out, I know I was gonna save it, but these characters, I was complaining about wrestling when none of these characters are likable. I am dead serious. I think I would genuinely like this movie, as a movie, a solid 6, 7 out of 10. If this was not a horror movie with no killing, and it was just about these 3 trying to start their rap career. They're that
the characters are all
that
likable.
Endearing, and I like, and they're all good actors. Can we talk about that? They're all there's some big names here.
Well, yeah. The main guy, the main young man who plays Postmaster P. Smith, he is played by Anthony Montgomery. And if that name sounds familiar to you, he did play Ensign Merriweather on Star Trek Enterprise for all 9 seasons. The following year, he got that role after Leprechaun in the Hood. So he's like the lead guy of these 3 guys, and what they're trying to do is trying to get some money to start this rap band, and they go and they steal the medallion off the Leprechaun,
because gold.
Yes, and the Leprechaun comes alive and wants his stuff, but the magic flute. Also, tell me, this magic flute has special powers in this film, okay?
Yes.
It puts people in a trance, and they act and do whatever the leprechaun's
I brought up sex slaves earlier. You want to elaborate on that real quick? Just get that out of the way.
They call them the zombie fly girls, I think.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the technical name in the film.
It is.
Or not.
It is. It is.
But yeah, there's these dancers and all.
Yeah, and they're basically like Leprechaun's minions. But the thing is, this is the first Leprechaun movie when some of the characters died, instead of laughing joyously at the effects and just the silliness of it all, I was like, oh man, I didn't want him to die. And it's okay, good job, movie. You made me care about your character. This, I never expected this from Leprechaun in the Hood to be the most emotionally centered movie in this franchise.
So here we got a picture here of the There he is with his magic flute.
Get that off the screen. We were talking about nice things. We were talking about nice things.
So this movie actually has a twist ending, actually, and a cameo by Coolio, if you can believe that. He actually shows up towards the end when they're having this big party. But at the end of the movie, instead of thinking that you think the Leprechaun's gone, but he's not. He's used his magic flute, and the main character is actually working for him under his spell. And he's like a big rapper.
Oh man, I kind of like that guy. Because
rapper.
all the other two in his group died throughout the movie. The first guy dies pretty early on, and it was like kind of. But when his other guy, I can't remember his name, but when the other guy died, that was the one where I'm like, oh man, what dang, I like that guy. But here's another thing I really like about this movie. Despite being called Leprechaun in the Hood, this movie is actually really respectful towards like Black culture and stuff. Like there's no, what's the word? There's not a lot of stereotyping in it. Despite what we've said about the whole rap career and everything, there's none of those stereotypical things that you would assume. Because when did this movie come out?
It came out in 2000.
Yeah, that you would expect from the 2000s around this time in a B horror film. So that was actually surprisingly nice. And you watched the movie. So, you agree with me about it? I need to know if you think it's good too. You've been pretty silent about your opinions on this, and I need to know if I'm a fool.
No, it was very good. I mean, I really liked it as far as it seemed like they took some time to take a step back. The last film was in '97 when they did the Leprechaun in Space. Looks like they took a step back. Actually wrote a script, and that was
didn't just take one
semi-decent, and took 3 years for this to come out. Mm-hmm. So it did fairly well.
And if I were to recommend like on a genuine level any of these movies, I would probably recommend this one. Like. Pretty decent, actually. Speaking of pretty decent, surprisingly, Leprechaun in the Hood 2.
Yep, this is
also a pretty decent movie.
This is another
once again, great actors.
They took their time, and it came out in December 30th of 2003. Has nothing to do with the last film. It's same name, different story. This time, there's a girl. There's a girl named Paige. And
wait, what do you mean? A female character in a Leprechaun movie that isn't like a love interest?
Yeah,
there's a Leprechaun.
The main cast is actually girls in this one.
What a surprise! Since I think this is the first female character since Jennifer Aniston that
has a lead role.
No, that the Leprechaun hasn't been lusting over.
Well, no, in
or somebody or a character hasn't been lusting over.
Well, in 3, really not so much.
He was kind of lusting over her.
But anyway, so
finally, Leprechaun realizes women's rights. So that's great. So female lead characters.
Yep,
that's nice.
So these two girls, they go to see a what do you call it? Somebody who reads your hands, a palm reader or what?
Yeah, fortune teller.
Fortune teller. That's right. So they go see a fortune teller. Fortune teller says, "Hey, now." You're going to come into some money, you're going to come into some wealth, but you can't keep this wealth. It's going to cause you trouble if you keep the wealth. So not soon after this, one of these girls falls in a hole where they were and finds out that there's some gold there. And instead of, they don't listen to this lady, this fortune teller, they decide that they're going to split up this gold and try to do some good with it and also go on a shopping spree. Well, that causes some problems, and the Leprechaun shows up. I forget how he shows up this time, but
the rules again. So we've already established that they kind of ran out of ideas for rules with the Leprechaun, which you could kind of see in the last film when they reused the amulet. And this time they're going all the way back to the first one. Clovers affect him again.
Yes. The 4-leaf clover is effective again. And the way that they use it this time is with
marijuana.
It's in marijuana. They found some in some bad marijuana. So that is how they're going to end up using it against the Leprechaun eventually. So what happens is this film goes along. They're trying to get rid of this Leprechaun. They want to return the gold, but the other friends don't want to return the gold. So there's a lot of killing. And at the end, the main lead girl Emily, she throws the chest of gold and ends up trapping him in the chest of gold somehow. But then at the end, they show him digging out, and I think we have a picture of him digging out.
We
here.
put on the picture already, Mom.
Okay, so that's him at the end digging out. He's digging out.
Yeah, but that never gets resolved because there's unfortunately no Leprechaun in the Hood 3, and I kind of mean that sincerely and not sarcastically because this like little mini franchise was surprisingly some of the best the series had to offer, which once again I stress is from something called Leprechaun in the Hood.
Hey, we actually have a clip of Warwick Davis that talks about when he was doing In the Hood. So why don't we go ahead and play that one? That's Size Matters Not.
Are you gonna miss?
She sneezes once, she sneezes twice. She'll be me bride when she sneezes thrice.
Oh, hello. I was just reading a story about Leprechaun from my new autobiography, Size Matters Not. Have you seen a Leprechaun movie? Oh, you poor bugger. Would you care for me to read some? Splendid. Number 6, Back to the Hood, followed soon after 5. In that film, I smoked a bong that was as big as me. It was filled with herbal tobacco and made me half laugh and half choke, which helped me produce the most evil cackle I'd ever done. There are a couple of Laurel and Hardy slapstick moments where, after getting stoned, I fall flat on my back. Felt fine at the time, but the next day I was in agony. At one point, I get the munchies and attack the fridge, but I'm supposed to get stuck inside when somebody knocks the fridge door shut with their bottom. Couldn't you have brought a bigger fridge, I asked. Not unreasonably, I thought. It's tiny. But you're tiny, the props guy said, trying to force me inside. Come on, get your other arm in. I can't, I protested, shoving a carton of milk and some salami to one side. I'm going to come out box-shaped. Eventually, with my nose compressed against a tube of squeezy cheese, the door was shut and we got the scene. If you liked that shit, and I'm full of it, there's more in here.
So, unfortunately, that was the last Warwick Davis film.
Because he had to family reasons. Correct?
Yes.
I believe. He decided to take a break from horror films because he had a son or a daughter, a child.
You're the one who told me that story, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But
I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. So no more Warwick Davis.
Yes, and no more Leprechaun for quite a while because Back to the Hood 2 was in 2003, and then we
all right, we've been having fun. We've been having fun. You don't need
years,
You don't need to. We've been having fun. We're having fun.
11 years later, we get a new kind of Leprechaun film.
I mean, maybe because.
And we have cats fighting.
And we got. You see, they don't like this movie as much as me. They hate this movie as much as I do.
So so this is considered a reboot film, and it premiered on August 22nd, 2014.
They don't want us to talk about it either, Mom. Maybe we shouldn't do it.
Once again, not anywhere near March or St. Patrick's Day, comes Leprechaun Origins.
I'm gonna just say it now. Look how they massacred my boy.
He looks like Schmeagol, you know. He looks like something from Lord of the Rings, you know.
I was gonna say a malformed pig clone, but okay, that works too.
Okay.
This movie is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. No joke. I said earlier I was hinting at I like movies where people are having fun more than soulless cash grabs. This movie is one of the most soulless things I've ever seen in my life, and I would prefer never to have seen it ever again. This movie has shots filmed on GoPro, and that in and of itself is a sin worthy of death. Whoever shot those scenes, or whoever idea was it to have the
Blair Witch
GoPros.
Project was on.
No, Blair Witch Project was a different story. That was what they were going for. If you're trying to have a serious horror film that isn't found footage and you use GoPros, your film is awful. I don't care. Nobody can name a good horror film where they use GoPros that's not a found footage movie. Okay. And I'm going to say it. Nobody can. Nobody can. You can, even if you try, you can't. Because they don't exist. They're non-existent.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Leprechaun Origins, despite the fact that you hated it. Okay, which it's
well, you
not
hated
great.
It too.
It's not great. This film is set in Ireland.
This film is not also the name. This isn't an origin story. It's not an origin story. I don't know why it's called Leprechaun
because
Origins.
it's set in Ireland.
That doesn't
That's
matter.
why they
We had this discussion in the car. Like, if you had something take place on Krypton and you call it a Superman origin story, but Superman ain't even in the story, it's just about some random two people on Krypton, you can't call it a Superman origin story.
Okay. Can I continue, please?
I hate this movie
a little bit. So the film is set in Ireland, where 4 American friends are vacationing.
I hate this movie. Oh, like it's the plot of every horror movie ever.
And so
wow,
they're at this village where, in order to keep the leprechauns at bay, they sacrifice 2 humans a year for compensation, and they get to keep some of the gold. This film has multiple leprechauns towards the end.
They aren't leprechauns. Don't call them that.
They don't look anything like leprechauns, but the main one was played by Dylan Hornswoggle Postal. Okay, and that's
don't
about
mention that poor man's name. He doesn't deserve to be.
That's about all I've got to say about that.
I thought it was CGI. I didn't even know there was a guy in there. It looks bad. It's bad. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this.
So Mike did not see the last 2 Leprechaun.
And you know what, Mike? I don't blame you for Leprechaun Origins. Don't see Leprechaun Origins. Never. Just don't do that to yourself. However, if you are a horror movie fan, I'm going to give strong recommendation to Leprechaun Returns. Because despite the fact that Warwick Davis is not in it, it brings back the energy, the fun. And his replacement, you have his name, I cannot.
Lyndon Porco plays Leprechaun Ludin.
And you know what? He doesn't do an awful job. He's no Warwick Davis, don't get me wrong. However, if you are a horror movie buff, this film has some of the best kills I've ever seen in anything, which is surprising because isn't this a sci-fi original?
Well, it ended up becoming on Sci-Fi. It was direct video on 12/11/2018, and then
here you go. She's like,
it premiered on Sci-Fi Channel. Hold your horses, on March 17th, 2019. It actually premiered on St. Patrick's Day. Go figure, man. Go figure. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone.
You're not having Guinness tonight? I would figure you'd be having a nice big mug of Guinness.
Back to this movie. I actually do recommend it. Like, I would say give this one a chance. Origins? No, don't.
Okay, Leprechaun Returns
don't even do that.
Is actually a direct sequel to the original
so
Leprechaun
it has the
film.
Shoe fetish back. There's actually they use the rules from the first movie. They're all back. There's continuity, Mom.
So actually, it actually they actually do try on this one. The Aussie character from the first film, who was friends with Andy, I believe was his name. He was one of the friends. He picks up Tori's daughter. Tori was played by Jennifer Aniston. Picks up her daughter.
Cancer.
Picks up her daughter
because
Lila.
She didn't want to come back.
Picks up her daughter Lila at the airport and advises her that her mom died of cancer. They return to Nebraska, back to the farmhouse, where she and her sorority friends are going to try to turn the house into a green home. They're experimenting with solar panels and all that. Okay? So they're going to make this house into a green home for a project.
You know what? I think another reason I like this film because it has TM scientific whammon in it. And I enjoy that. The 2 girls in this film are like super smart geniuses and are the only one to make it alive. So, this movie's got its priorities straight. It knows what it's doing. But also, I think I've said this a few times, but this also has a bunch of references to other horror films.
Well, like what? Exactly?
The Evil Dead 2, when the leprechaun becomes like all small and is chasing them around, when he becomes like a bunch of himself, that's a reference to the Evil Dead 2.
Oh, okay. I didn't even get.
Have you seen Evil Dead?
Of course I have. My husband is the biggest Evil Dead fan there is. If I didn't watch them, we would have been divorced.
So
I don't like.
I do recommend these movies. It's a blast.
Bruce Campbell's cool.
And the actor, I can't remember his name for the life of me. He ain't no.
So there he is. That's the different. Yeah, that's the different style.
That's the different style they use, sort of like.
But it's pretty cool. And yeah, his name. The replacement for Warwick Davis is Lyndon Porco.
And like I said, he does a good job. I'll say that he does a good job as a replacement. He doesn't do anywhere as near as well as Warwick Davis, of course, but he does good. He's better than that thing you're not talking about anymore.
So at the end of this film, this is the last one. So until they decide to come up with a new one. But the main character, she electrocutes the leprechaun and blows up the house. But at the end, it turns out that he ended up surviving that electrocution, and it's left for a future sequel if they decide to do that.
I got two things to bring up here, and I'm just gonna say them in order. I genuinely, from a genuine standpoint, and I will die on this hill. I like these movies as a requel, as a redo of a sequel, better than Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. Especially Halloween Kills, because at least in this movie, a small gust of air doesn't make somebody explode. But I like these movies better. This one better. For the sole fact that, like I said, if you're a horror movie fan, the kills in this movie are some of the best I've ever seen.
What's your favorite one? What's your favorite kill in this film?
I can't. They're all good.
There's a solar panel one, though. That you
oh, my God. When the guy gets cut in half vertically by the solar panel is great. But there's so much more. There's like a musical number with the leprechaun with a girl getting killed with sprinklers and blood squirting out of her mouth. There's one where the leprechaun, like somebody swallowed a gold coin and the leprechaun like chest bursters out of them. It is fantastic. Beautiful. I love it. But I'm an awful person. And am I a bad person for liking to see people die?
No, I mean the reason why horror films have such an appeal is some people it's a form of escapism.
It is great. I love this movie. Warwick, I'm sorry, but this is my objective favorite in the franchise, just because. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. And like I say, this is associated with sci-fi. The CGI is, but the practical effects in this movie are so good. Like. Genuinely really, really good. I had a blast with it. I don't think you're as hot on it, but I think you can at least admit it's better than some of the other
I like that they at least tried to go back to the original roots, and the original Leprechaun out of all of them was my favorite because the four main cast survived, and I like that. I just it's refreshing, and
Oh. Good. I'm glad I convinced you, Mike. I'm glad I convinced somebody to check out that movie. Like, that movie's one of the ones I will die on, where I'm like, please go see it. I really did like it. I really did like it. It's better than it has any right to be as a Leprechaun sequel without Warwick Davis. It's really good, basically, is all I can say.
So I'm really glad that you all joined us tonight for this special
We
showing.
honestly had a blast setting all this up, if you can't tell.
Yeah, we went all out. We went to the Dollar Tree and spent about $10 on all this stuff.
By the way, did you know the Dollar Tree is now charging $1.25 for their stuff? It's the Dollar Tree. Look, I get it, inflation, but you're the Dollar Tree.
My son calls it the $1 quarter tree now.
The whole thing is you're supposed to be for $1. But I digress.
But at least we got some cool necklaces, and
I feel like I'm in elementary school again.
And we just want to have some fun, and we hope you had fun. And in 2 weeks, we're gonna do. It's a little late, but we're gonna do Buffy the Vampire Slayer's 25th anniversary, which was this month.
Yeah, it was either this or Leprechaun, and
we were actually going to try to do both, but it just with time,
Yeah,
it just didn't work
doesn't
out.
work out.
But you know what? Buffy is good anytime. So we're going to be celebrating 25 years of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in 2 weeks on Saturday at our regular time at 7:00. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you so much.
And have a great
Have
night.
a great night.